Millionaire farmer fired minutes after humiliating new salesperson in front of customers. Chapter 1. The Mysterious Beginning. From the very first moment, an eerie silence hung over the old farmhouse, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves stirred by an unseen breeze. Strange shadows flickered across the cracked walls, as if the house itself held secrets desperate to be uncovered. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a whispered warning, while outside, the distant howl of a lone wolf sent chills down the spine. Something was undeniably wrong, a hidden truth lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel. The air grew thick with anticipation as unexplained lights danced in the darkness, and the townsfolk's hushed rumors spoke of an ancient curse that no one dared to challenge. Each strange occurrence piled upon the last, weaving a tangled web of mystery that pulled the reader deeper into the story, craving to know what sinister forces were at play. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, drop that powerful like. That helps me so much with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video description and get yours now. The air was thick with uncertainty as the townsfolk whispered among themselves. All eyes were glued to the old farmhouse, secrets spilling forth as if the house itself could no longer hold them in. The flickering lights outside grew brighter, casting an otherworldly glow. Then it happened. A deafening crash resonated from within the walls. The ground shook beneath their feet. Everyone froze. Heartbeats raced. Breaths caught in throats. The door swung open, revealing a silhouette framed in golden light. A figure stumbled out, glowing with an ethereal energy. It was Kyle, the much-ridiculed new salesperson. But his expression wasn't that of a desperate man. No, this was different. This was fierce. "Help!" he shouted, voice trembling yet powerful. "You have to listen!" Confusion rippled through the crowd. Murmurs escalated into chaos. What could possibly be happening? Kyle struggled to regain his composure. He was drenched in sweat, eyes wide and wild, as if something had awakened inside him. "It's not what you think," he gasped. "She's alive." Gasps echoed in the silence. She? Who was he talking about? The townspeople exchanged frantic glances. "What do you mean?" a brave voice called from the back. "Lucinda," Kyle shouted, his voice breaking. "She never died." A wave of disbelief washed over them. Lucinda, the farmer's daughter, who had vanished years ago, presumed dead for so long. The tales of her ghost haunting the farmhouse flared back to life in their minds, images of fleeting shadows and soft cries echoing through the night. "It's true," Kyle insisted, voice strong amidst the confusion. She's trapped in the house. You have to understand. His hands trembled, fear shooting through him. And she's not alone. Before anyone could respond, a deafening roar split the air. All heads turned to the farmhouse. The walls now pulsated with energy. The blue light intensified, painting everything in a surreal hue. The ground shook again, and then, like a dam bursting open, a wave of blue light cascaded out, surrounding Kyle. People stumbled back, fear sweetening the air. But Kyle stood firm, transformed by an unseen force. "You don't understand," he cried, looking into their eyes, their shocked faces drawn tight with worry. "Lucinda needs you." As the words hung heavy, a woman in the front, old Mrs. Dawson, gasped, "No, it can't be! She's gone!" "But she isn't!" Kyle snapped, shocking everyone further. "You all believed she was just a story, a ghost. But she's here, in the shadows. And they are coming for her." His voice trembled with urgency. The distant howling of the wolf seemed to echo his warning. A sharp blade of fear sliced through the crowd, hearts racing in. "Sink!" The whispers of an ancient curse paled before this new revelation. What were these others he spoke of? The night grew colder, the shadows longer. Eyes darted back to the house, searching for something, anything. The lights flickered one last time, leaving an eerie stillness. Kyle took a step back toward the farmhouse, drawn like a moth to a flame. The crowd gasped, dread thick in the air. "Wait!" someone called out, a cry of desperation. But it was too late. Without hesitation, Kyle plunged back into the house, swallowed by the darkness, with a determination that left their hearts racing. What awaited him inside? What had he unleashed? All they could do was stare, frozen. Was Lucinda truly alive? And if she was, what had become of her? The questions hung in the air, heavy and unresolved, making the darkness seep deeper into their souls. Kyle stepped into the darkness of the farmhouse, leaving the townspeople's shocked faces behind him. The door creaked shut, a heavy silence falling over the outside world. Inside, shadows twisted and curled like smoke. Fear crawled up his spine. "Lucinda!" he called, voice echoing against the cold walls. "I'm here to help you." But the darkness thickened, swallowing his words. The air buzzed with a strange energy. He strained to see, heart racing, when suddenly a flicker of light ignited in the corner of the room. He turned, breath catching in his throat. "Lucinda?" The light grew, revealing a figure shrouded in veils of glowing mist. It was her, but something felt off. Lucinda's eyes, once filled with warmth and kindness, burned with a fierce intensity. "You shouldn't have come, Kyle," she said, voice low and haunting. "You've awakened them." "Awakened who?" he stammered, confusion slamming into him like a wave. But before she could answer, the ground shook violently again. Loose boards splintered, sending a shower of dust into the air. The walls moaned, a deep voice rumbling through the depths of the farmhouse. Kyle stumbled back, feeling something shift inside him, a sense of connection he couldn't explain. "Lucinda, please, what's happening?" he pleaded. But the room felt alive, swirling with energy. Suddenly, the mist around her flickered, revealing faces, twisted, anguished, and agonized. They clawed at the air, reaching for him. His stomach dropped. Shadows shifted, weaving in and out, like figures caught between worlds. Trapped, like me, Lucinda whispered, eyes filled with despair. I've been waiting for someone. For what? He pressed, a rising dread filling his chest. What do you need? Tension snapped as the air turned icy. With a sharp inhale, she stepped closer. Her expression morphed from fear to something darker. I need power, Kyle. I need you to unleash it. What? No! Panic surged through him. You can't mean that! But the shadows roared, overtaking him, drowning out his thoughts. The noise was deafening, a chaotic symphony of anguish and yearning. And then he saw it, a figure among the shades. What? Who are you? He gasped, recognizing the silhouette. Daddy! The voice cracked like thunder, freezing him in place. It was her father, the millionaire farmer, rumored to have buried dark secrets within these walls. The air turned electric as he stepped forward, a ghostly intensity radiating from him. You were always a disappointment, he hissed, glancing at Lucinda. Now you bring this? Kyle felt the weight of every secret held in the room, each betrayal, each hidden truth. What is this? He shouted, desperate for clarity. Half lies told by half lives, Lucinda spat, voice fierce. You wanted me to be a ghost of your making, but I'm more than that. Her eyes glimmered with a power that made the shadows dance. The walls trembled, the house groaning under the strain. I am alive, she screamed, voice surging with energy. With that outburst, something within Kyle snapped. A surge coursed through him. He felt it, their connection, the burden of their shared past. Lucinda's invisible chains became his shackles. No longer just a salesperson, he was something else now. A vessel. He staggered back, mind spinning, emotions churning. What have I become? He whispered, panic tightening in his throat. In that moment, he understood. The secrets he sought would shatter everything. Families, friendships, even himself. Outside, the townsfolk waited in silence, oblivious to the storm brewing within those walls. What would emerge from this haunting reckoning? And as Lucinda reached out, the darkness closing in, Kyle felt a single thought pierce through. Could love bind or break them? Would he sacrifice everything? In that flicker of uncertainty, fear and hope collided. What awaited them both? What could he do? The questions spiraled like the shadows dancing around them, hungry and alive. Kyle's heart raced, uncertainty twisting like a knife in his gut. Lucinda's fierce eyes held him captive, radiating an energy that felt like both a curse and a blessing. He could feel the weight of their connection, the dreams he didn't know he had, swirling in the darkness around him. What do you want from me? He whispered, desperation clawing at his throat. The swirling shadows leaned closer, reaching out with tendrils that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Lucinda was more than a lost spirit. She was a storm waiting to break. You must help me unleash it, she repeated, voice soaring like a banshee in the thickening air. The power is in you, Kyle. You don't even know what you're capable of. Suddenly, a crack erupted from the floor, a deep fissure splitting the board beneath them. Dust enveloped the room, and the walls groaned, as if the very house was protesting. The ghostly figures hovered, their faces contorted, anguish mixed with an unsettling yearning. "Lucinda, no, this isn't right!" Kyle's voice shook, fear mixing with the echo of ancient truths playing over and over in his mind. "That's what your people always say. You can't be afraid of what you don't understand." She stepped closer, a wild passion igniting in her gaze. "They've kept us imprisoned here. Your family, my father." "What about my family?" Kyle interrupted, the question clawing out of him. She hesitated, the shadows flickering around her. "Everything is entwined. Your father knew what he was doing when he buried us." He blinked, confusion flooding his mind. "What? My father?" A lump formed in his throat. What could he possibly have to do with this? "Everything! He sold our souls to the shadows for his success, and now they want their payment." The ground shook harder, and with a blinding flash, the shadows exploded forward. Kyle was thrown against the wall, the air stolen from his lungs. Everything went dark for a moment. He gasped, trying to gather his wits. "Lucinda!" He screamed, but silence enveloped him, pressing down like an anchor. Then he saw it, a flicker of a memory rushing through his mind. His father, standing in the same house, a deal being struck, dark promises laced with betrayal. Am I part of this? The realization hit like a cold wave, washing over him. Are you saying my father? But before he could finish, the room exploded with light. A blinding, unforgiving brilliance radiated from Lucinda. The shadows recoiled. But she stood firm, a tempest of power igniting around her. "Together, Kyle!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the haze. "We can break this! We can find freedom!" He reached for her, heart pounding louder than the chaos around them. But in that instant, the ghostly figures lunged towards him. A rush of cold air hushed the room. The walls shuddered. And then a silken voice whispered in his ear, sending ice through his veins. "It's too late, son." He turned, dread pooling deep in his stomach. Standing in the doorway was a figure he knew too well. "Dad?" Kyle breathed, shock rippling through him. His father, the towering man he once idolized, looked diminished, his eyes clouded with secrets. "There's no escape from this, Kyle," he said, voice low and calm, sending shivers down his spine. "Not for you, not for her." The realization hit him hard. Every lie, every half-truth weaved through their shared history, spilling out like a torrent. "Why?" Kyle shouted, emotions tumbling over each other. "Why did you never tell me?" "Because the truth would destroy you." The shadows surged forward, the frigid air thickening around them. Kyle felt torn, heart racing and dizzy. He was caught in a storm of loyalty and betrayal. "What do I do?" he whispered, glancing back at Lucinda. Time slowed. "Trust me," she urged, her fierce gaze lighting the darkness, but doubt nestled deeper in Kyle's heart. As the ghostly figures converged, he had but one choice. Would he stand with the daughter of the curse, or his father, the architect of his imprisonment? The night howled in anticipation. What would he unleash? What would become of them all? The real battle was just beginning. Kyle felt torn, heart racing and dizzy. His father's presence was suffocating, like thick smoke filling his lungs. "Why?" he whispered, voice trembling. "Because the truth would destroy you." The shadows lunged, trembling with hunger, the air crackling around them. And then, in a heartbeat, everything changed. With a sudden flash, the ground trembled violently beneath them, as if the house were answering. A deep rumble roared through the air, shaking Kyle to his core. Dust and debris fell like rain, and the shadows seemed to pulsate, alive and ravenous. "Look out!" Lucinda screamed. But Kyle didn't need to be told. A thick, black fog erupted from the fissured floor, swirling upward in a malignant whirlpool that enveloped everything in darkness. And just as abruptly as it began, a blinding light burst forth from the very center of the tempest, forcing Kyle to shield his eyes. Then, silence. When the light dimmed, Kyle forced himself to look around. Confusion clouded his thoughts. The room had transformed. Where shadows once loomed, a bright glow now pulsed, revealing not just Lucinda, but an entire realm beyond darkness. "No!" he gasped, taking a step back. Standing before him was the original form of Lucinda, her face bright, eyes swirling infinite colors, an ethereal beauty that was somehow both comforting and terrifying. Yet the agony of the shadows battled within her. "We need to unite," she urged, every word cutting through the tension that throbbed in his chest. But then it changed. A familiar face emerged from the light. It was his mother. She looked as she had years ago, alive and radiant. "Kyle, you can't trust them," she cried out. Urgency etched across her features. "Your father's pact. It is much deeper than you know." His heart dropped. "What are you saying?" Pierced into him, unraveling the fabric of everything he thought he understood. "He has tied our fates to this house. His legacy means chains, not freedom." The figure of his father stood in the far corner, shadows shifting around him. "That's not true," he roared, his anger like fire. "You know nothing." But the truth hung heavy in the air. Lucinda's expression turned fierce, her power swirling like a cyclone. "You've both been used. This isn't just about us. It's about generations of betrayal." Kyle staggered, overwhelmed. "But if my father is the curse, then how can I escape this?" His mother stepped forward, reaching for him. "You have more power then. You realize you can break the chains if you stand with Lucinda, but you must do it now." "No!" his father's voice thundered, sending shock waves through the room. "You'll destroy everything!" The very foundation of the house began to shake again, echoing the anger and fear pulsing in Kyle's heart. He could feel it. A choice lay before him. "Make your decision," Lucinda shouted, the struggle of shadows and light playing across her luminous features. "Join me, or let him drown you both in darkness." Kyle's world narrowed. All that mattered was this moment. The past he never knew threatened to swallow him whole, merging with the jagged edges of his present. But as he looked between Lucinda and his parents, he felt an overwhelming force ignite within. "Choose!" they all cried, the urgency piercing through him like ice. And in that breathless pause, a new energy surged, fusing through his veins. But shadows pressed against his mind, whispering doubts, clawing at his heart. Could he truly break free? Would he embrace the light or succumb to the shadows? What horrifying truth awaited him should he choose wrong? The question echoed in the chamber, heavy with the weight of destiny. Locking eyes with Lucinda, he felt the flicker of hope. But the shadows loomed large, hungry for his choice. Kyle felt torn, heart racing and dizzy. His father's presence was suffocating, like thick smoke filling his lungs. "Why?" he whispered, voice trembling. "Because the truth would destroy you." The shadows lunged, trembling with hunger, the air crackling around them. And then, in a heartbeat, everything changed. With a sudden flash, the ground trembled violently beneath them, as if the house were answering. A deep rumble roared through the air, shaking Kyle to his core. Dust and debris fell like rain, and the shadows seemed to pulsate, alive and ravenous. "Look out!" Lucinda screamed. But Kyle didn't need to be told. A thick, black fog erupted from the fissured floor, swirling upward in a malignant whirlpool that enveloped everything in darkness. And just as abruptly as it began, a blinding light burst forth from the very center of the tempest, forcing Kyle to shield his eyes. Then silence. When the light dimmed, Kyle forced himself to look around. Confusion clouded his thoughts. The room had transformed. Where shadows once loomed, a bright glow now pulsed, revealing not just Lucinda, but an entire realm beyond darkness. "No," he gasped, taking a step back. Standing before him was the original form of Lucinda. Her face bright, eyes swirling infinite colors, an ethereal beauty that was somehow both comforting and terrifying. Yet the agony of the shadows battled within her. "We need to unite," she urged, every word cutting through the tension that throbbed in his chest. But then it changed. A familiar face emerged from the light. It was his mother. She looked as she had years ago, alive and radiant. "Kyle, you can't trust them," she cried out, urgency etched across her features. "Your father's pact, it is much deeper than you know." His heart dropped. "What are you saying?" "Your father isn't just a part of this. He is the curse." Her anguished eyes pierced into him, unraveling the fabric of everything he thought he understood. "He has tied our fates to this house. His legacy means chains, not freedom." The figure of his father stood in the far corner, shadows shifting around him. "That's not true," he roared, his anger like fire. "You know nothing." But the truth hung heavy in the air. Lucinda's expression turned fierce, her power swirling like a cyclone. "You've both been used. This isn't just about us. It's about generations of betrayal." Kyle staggered, overwhelmed. "But if my father is the curse, then how can I escape this?" His mother stepped forward, reaching for him. "You have more power than you realize. You can break the chains if you stand with Lucinda, but you must do it now." "No!" his father's voice thundered, sending shockwave through the room. Kyle felt torn, heart racing and dizzy. He was caught in a storm of loyalty and betrayal. "What do I do?" he whispered, glancing back at Lucinda. Time slowed. "Trust me," she urged, her fierce gaze lighting the darkness, but doubt nestled deeper in Kyle's heart. As the ghostly figures converged, he had but one choice. Would he stand with the daughter of the curse, or his father, the architect of his imprisonment? Suddenly, amidst the chaos, a thunderous crack ripped through the ceiling above. A heavy beam crashed down, sending dust and splinters flying. Kyle dove to the side, narrowly escaping the debris. But when he turned back, a shocking scene unfolded before him. His father, his stoic, unyielding father, was crumbling like ash. The shadows engulfed him, devouring his form. In his last moment, an anguished scream tore through the air, echoing with a clarity that pierced Kyle's heart. "I was trying to protect you!" Then silence fell. Everyone held their breath, and an overwhelming chill swept the room, replacing the cacophony of chaos. As the last remnants of his father disintegrated, a new presence filled the space. A presence that felt familiar, but twisted. "Welcome home, Kyle." A voice slithered into the silence. It was smooth, inviting, and deeply unsettling, weaving through the air like a serpent. From the very shadows that had just consumed his father, a dark figure emerged, taking shape. Before Kyle's wide eyes, it was his father, though not as he remembered. "Father?" Kyle gasped, mind racing. But this was not the man he knew. This being was malevolent, eyes filled with knowing shades of darkness, an entity reborn. "You can't escape what you are," the figure proclaimed, an unsettling grin spreading across its face. "Your lineage is bound to us. Now it's time for you to choose." A wave of dread washed over Kyle. The choices had shifted in an instant. In that moment, nothing was as it seemed. Was Lucinda truly the ally he thought she was? Or had he been drawn into a web of deception he had never imagined? The shadows pulsed, darkened, and Kyle's world tilted. As the new figure extended its hand, promising power, vengeance, and freedom, Kyle felt the grip of fear tighten painfully. What had he unleashed? What destiny awaited him now? Kyle felt the grip of fear tighten painfully as he faced the twisted figure of his father. The air felt electric, charged with uncertainty and dread. He had thought he knew the man standing before him, the farmer who raised him, taught him hard work and integrity. "You're not my father," Kyle breathed, voice shaky, trembling hand reaching towards the presence that should have brought comfort. The figure only smiled, lips curling with insidious glee. "I'm everything you never wanted to see, Kyle. I am what lies within you, the darkness you refuse to embrace." His mind raced, doubt gnawing at his resolve. "Lucinda, what's happening?" But even as he turned, he could see her expression wavering, caught between determination and fear. Shadows continued to pulse around her, swirling like angry clouds. "Don't listen to him!" she shouted, voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "You don't have to accept this." But before Kyle could respond, a sudden, deafening crash echoed from above. The ceiling shuddered and trembled. Dust poured down like rain, scratching at their throats. And there it was, the moment they all sensed, the very essence of. Fate shifting. A massive beam splintered and fell, but not towards Kyle, towards his father. In an instant, the house screamed as wood cracked and broke, the twisted figure barely moving as the beam crushed with a sickening thud. Silence. Everyone held their breath. Had the curse broken? But the figure didn't vanish. Instead, it laughed, a deep, resonant laughter that echoed weirdly in the chamber. "Foolish boy," it boomed, towering through the dust. "You think you can rid this house of me? I am not bound by bone and blood." And then Kyle stumbled. His vision blurred. Suddenly, memories flooded back, ones he had buried deep. He watched himself as a child, hiding under the staircase, hearing whispers, not understanding them. Seeing his mother, her beautiful face distorted with fear, always looking over her shoulder. "Kyle, you're special. They want you," she would whisper, her voice trembling. Had he pushed those thoughts aside so completely? "No, you're lying," Kyle shouted, shaking with rage. But the laughter grew louder. And then, before anyone could react, the dusty air shimmered again. Shadows warped, revealing figures, his ancestors, faces contorted, hovering in the air. Each one looked familiar and yet terrifying, echoes of a forgotten past. They reached out, whispers merging into a chaotic melody that wrapped around Kyle like chains. "Your blood binds us," one cried, eyes blazing with light. "You carry the weight of every pact made, every deal struck in darkness." "No!" Kyle fell to his knees, despair pooling in his chest. "This can't be!" But it was true. The horrifying reality sank in. His family's legacy wasn't just prosperity, it was a gallery of ghosts, a lineage tied to darkness, twisting through betrayal. Lucinda stepped closer, urgency dripping from her voice. "You have to fight this, Kyle. They feed on your fear." But the revelation drew him deeper. "You're all part of this!" he yelled, feeling betrayal prick at his heart like needles. And then clarity struck hard. "You knew, Lucinda! You're part of this all along." The ethereal glow, shattered as a glimmer of uncertainty, crossed her face. "No! I was trying to free us both!" Kyle's hands trembled, claws of guilt gripping deep. It was all too much. "What if you're no different? What if—" And in that heartbeat of doubt, the walls began to close in. The light wavered, shadows pressed closer, whispering deceit. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, a chilling scream erupted. His mother's voice. "Kyle!" He turned, eyes wide, heart racing. She emerged from the shadows. But her appearance was different, more vibrant, filled with a haunting wisdom as her eyes pierced through him. "Stop this before it's too late. Only you can end this cycle." But in that moment, a sudden understanding blossomed. The biggest revelation hit him like a wave, more overwhelming than any dawn of truth. "You've all been playing a game," he realized while staring at their faces, the realization igniting fury within him. Everything spun out of control. The weight of his lineage felt suffocating. "I don't want this," he cried. "Then make your choice," the shadows roared, and the world shifted, leaving Kyle staring down an endless chasm of uncertainty. What lay beneath him? Freedom or madness? As the darkness threatened to consume them, Kyle stood frozen. Would he step forward or retreat into the shadows? The question loomed large, hanging heavy in the electric air, unanswered and terrifying. Kyle felt the grip of fear tighten painfully as he faced the twisted figure of his father. The air was thick with unspoken truths, palpitating in the silence. "You're not my father," Kyle breathed, his voice trembling, desperate for the authority to dissolve the looming darkness. But the figure merely grinned, a sinister smile creeping across its ghostly face. You only see what you want to see, Kyle. I am the legacy of your blood, the darkness you refuse to embrace. Kyle's heart raced as doubt settled deep in his chest, a heavy weight that pushed down on him. Lucinda, what's happening? He turned, desperate for answers. But her expression was a mix of determination and fear, shadows creeping closer. They're feeding on your fear, Kyle. Don't let them win. Her voice sliced through the tension, urging him to break free. Then, without warning, the walls shivered, dust cascading like snowflakes from the ceiling. A loud, crackling sound echoed, sending shivers down everyone's spine. Kyle's instincts kicked in. "Get down!" he shouted as a beam came crashing down, splintering the room. In the chaos, the figure of his father loomed larger, his laughter drowning out the falling debris. "Foolish boy, do you think you can rid yourself of me? This is just the beginning." Kyle ducked, adrenaline surging. Then it happened. A blinding flash burst forth, illuminating everything. The room trembled beneath him, but he couldn't look away. As the brilliance dimmed, a new figure emerged from the chaos. It was his mother. But she wasn't just a vision. She was standing right in front of him, alive, radiant, yet somehow twisted in a way he never expected. "Kyle!" she called, her voice clear but haunted. "You must listen. Everything is at stake." He reached out, face contorted with confusion. "Mom? How are you here? Your father betrayed us. This isn't just about power. It's about survival," she declared, eyes flaring with urgency. "You have to believe me. Our family is tangled in a web of darkness you can't begin to understand." "No, you don't understand," Kyle snapped, his emotions spiraling. "You're part of this too." He felt the chaotic truth of his bloodline overwhelming him. "Don't fall for his tricks," Lucinda pleaded, missing something that danced just beyond their grasp. In that moment, the walls carved out the truths buried deep. The shadows pressed closer, whispering, clawing at the edges of his consciousness, reviving the forgotten memories he buried. "Enough!" Kyle shouted, feeling the anger ignite within him. The shadows froze. He took a deep breath and let it out. "If you're telling the truth, then why does it feel like a trap?" "Because it is." The twisted figure of his father thundered, his laughter booming through the room. "Only by embracing the darkness can you truly understand what it means to be free." Then everything shifted. The walls shook violently, and a gaping rift appeared in the ground, a black abyss swirling with chaos. From within the depths, a figure began to rise, shimmering in cursed light. "Lucinda!" Kyle screamed, heart racing. She reached out, terror striking her face. But as the figure emerged fully, shock gripped everyone. It wasn't just any figure. It was Kyle himself, a warped reflection of everything he feared, eyes filled with shadow. "What? How?" Kyle's voice trembled as he faced this dark version of himself. "You're not real." "Oh, but I am," the dark Kyle laughed, his voice a twisted echo. "You can't escape your truth." The ground ripped beneath them, and the true battle began. One choice, stand with Lucinda or face his own darkness. But how could he fight himself? "Make your choice," echoed the twisted versions of everyone around him. Kyle's heart raced, pulse pounding like thunder. The question loomed deep. Would he embrace the nightmare or fight against it? And as the shadows, writhing around him, crackled with energy, one truth remained glaringly clear. The true essence of darkness was inside him. What would that mean for everything he believed? Kyle's heart raced, thundering in, his chest like an angry drum. The dark figure of himself loomed closer, a grotesque reflection of everything he had tried to escape. Doubt gnawed at him like a hungry beast. With every second, Wendy's words sank deeper into his mind. "You're just like me." "Get out of my head!" Kyle shouted, his voice shaking. But the shadow only laughed, his laughter echoing oddly, a sound that cracked the very air around him. "Why fight it?" the dark version sneered. "You're a part of this family, this legacy. It's in your blood." "No!" Kyle yelled, fear choking him as shadows wrapped tighter around him, their whispers becoming chaotic screams. Every ghostly face he had seen before surged forward, clawing at his thoughts. With a rush, Lucinda stepped in front of him, determination etched on her face. "Kyle, fight him! You're stronger than this darkness!" But the room grew colder, the shadows thickening, and Kyle felt a chilling grip on his heart. What if she's wrong? Doubt whispered in his ear. What if the power of darkness really did reside within him, just waiting to be unleashed? Then something shifted in the air. A flicker of movement caught Kyle's attention. The swirling darkness starting to swirl faster, coiling around them like a hungry snake. "Lucinda!" he cried, trying to break free, but the shadows pulled him down. Deeper and deeper. In a sudden flash, the entire room exploded with blinding light. Everyone recoiled, shielding their eyes from the brilliance. And in that moment, as the shadow shrieked and twisted in agony, that's when the truth struck, revealing a sight that turned Kyle's stomach. "No!" he screamed, his voice cracking with horror as he stumbled back. The darkness cleared, revealing the truth. His mother and father were entwined, caught in a spectral embrace. Both of them laughing, a sick, twisted laugh that tore at Kyle's heart. "How could you? Surprise, son!" they shouted in unison, their eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. "We've been waiting for you to unlock your true potential." "Your true self," the dark version added, slinking around Kyle like a predator. Shock numbed him for a heartbeat. You're not who I thought you were." His voice trembled, a lump of disbelief heavy in his throat. "Oh, but we are," his mother purred, stepping forward, her smile disturbingly sweet. "We've always been here. We needed you to find us, to reconnect to our family roots. Darkness is a gift, Kyle." "No!" he roared, shaking his head. "I refuse to be part of this. You can't force me." "Not yet," his father interjected, with a cruel grin, the shadows swirling hungrily around them. "But soon enough. Without you, we can't complete our true form. You'll join us." Time shattered around him. Everyone's whispers turned into a cacophony that crackled like lightning. Kyle felt the pull of darkness drawing nearer, tightening its hold, suffocating him. "Believe in your bloodline," the dark version taunted. "This is who you are. They've been waiting to share this power with you." "No!" The word ripped through his throat, tinged with desperation. As the shadows threatened to swallow him whole, a flicker of thought surged through his mind. Suddenly, everything changed. The swirling shadows froze. A hush fell over the room, thick with tension. Kyle's heart thundered, waiting for the next move, knowing something monumental had shifted. What now? He stammered, eyes darting between the twisted faces of his parents and the figure of himself. And for the first time, he felt the weight of the choice boil over. Could he truly embrace this legacy? In that beat of heart-stopping silence, he felt tingling warmth spread through him, stirring something dormant yet powerful within. The shadows, the dark version, they all craved him to join. "What does it mean?" he whispered, voice an uncertain tremor. But before he could grasp the gravity of this crucial moment, a deafening roar erupted, a force like a storm unleashed. The ground shook violently, and another explosion of light tore through, illuminating everything in a brilliant glow. And there, through the blinding brilliance, a ghostly figure appeared, rising from the depths of the shadows, unseen until now. She was familiar, but her presence altered the very air of the room. Every heart stopped as recognition surged through them. Kyle's breath caught in his throat. It was Lucinda's mother, herself. The truth sliced through the tension like a knife, her eyes wild with purpose. "You have no idea what you're capable of, Kyle. You're the key to breaking all of this." The ground trembled beneath them once more. As fear gripped every heart, Kyle felt a spark ignite inside him. What did this mean? Could he really break free? Or was he forever tied to the shadows? In that moment of chaos, the question lingered, heavy and unyielding. Which path would he choose? And would Lucinda stand by him? Or would she become just another shadow in this dark legacy? As the blinding light faded, Kyle felt an unfamiliar warmth spreading through him, breaking the grip of darkness. Lucinda's radiant spirit surged beside him, her presence igniting hope as they faced the horror of their lineage together. The grotesque version of Kyle writhed in pain, shadows shrinking back, pushed away by the light that now enveloped them. "Embrace it!" the dark figure howled, voice echoing with desperation. "You cannot escape your true nature." "No!" Kyle yelled, feeling the ground tremble beneath him. "I am not a prisoner of your legacy." Wind swirled around him, whispers of freedom filling the room as ancient shadows began to recede. Lucinda stepped closer, her eyes intense and unyielding. "You have the power to break this cycle, Kyle. Focus on the light. It's who you truly are." In that moment, clarity hit him like an electric shock. Kyle reached deep inside, searching for every stitch of doubt woven into his being. Suddenly, he found it, an undeniable strength bubbling to the surface, a love for those he cherished. "I choose love," he shouted, voice roaring amidst the chaos. A surge of golden energy erupted from his heart, illuminating every corner of darkness that snaked around them. The figures of his parents, twisted and malevolent, recoiled as the brightness intensified. "This cannot be!" his father bellowed, fear painting his features. "No more!" Kyle demanded, harnessing every ounce of power within himself. "We are not bound by this darkness. I refuse to be part of your curse." The shadows screamed as Kyle and Lucinda sprang forward, their hands intertwined. Together, they unleashed a wave of light that resonated through the entire farmhouse. The walls shimmered, the air charged with hope, as echoes of anguish turned into soft whispers of freedom. As the light enveloped them, the room trembled. Ben shattered like glass, sending the figures of his dark past spiraling into oblivion. Kyle felt energy coursing through him as laughter erupted. Laughter filled with joy, not malicious glee. The darkness that had once settled inside the farmhouse began to dissolve, shadowy tendrils fading like mist under the sun. Kyle turned to Lucinda, awe etched across his face. "Did we do it?" "We did!" she beamed, mirroring the radiant glow now washing over everything. "You fought for your truth." Around them, the echoes of the past faded into warmth, and the shadows that haunted his family for generations vanished into nothingness. The air, once thick with despair, became light-filled, gentle as a spring breeze, lifting their spirits high. But something tugged at him. But what about everyone? Kyle glanced toward the villagers, who had been waiting outside. They were still frozen, disbelief etched in their eyes. Lucinda smiled softly. "You've freed them too. They'll remember. It's a new beginning for us all." As the town breathed in the new dawn, exhilaration surged through Kyle. Could it really be the end of an era filled with pain? He turned back to Lucinda. "Gratitude immense. Thank you for believing in me." "No, thank you for believing in yourself," she replied, sincere warmth lighting her features. They stood side by side, the sun peeking through the remnants of the morning, an undeniable promise dancing on the horizon. Outside, the town began to emerge from its stupor, whispers giving way to cheers. The burdens of generations had lifted, and as Kyle stepped out into the sunlight, he felt reborn, a seed planted firm in the earth, ready to grow. And in that moment of triumph, a question lingered. What stories would they create now, free from the shadows of the past? "Now it's your turn." "I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request." Ending. And don't wait another second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this powerful conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video description and get yours now.